One of the interesting things about top level players is seeing what they do to prepare. How is their practice regimen? A lot of people have this idea that a pro gamer, in order to practice or be really good, it just plays for 10, 12 hours a day, every day, never takes a break. I picked this video to share with you guys because I thought this was a fascinating insight into how I love OOV. So one of the best Terrans way back in the day, basically in the era of when macro Terrans started to rise up. This guy, if you're unfamiliar with him, maybe you just started watching, ASL when that started for the last couple years and haven't known anything pre-StarCraft 2. This was a player on SKT1. He was very good friends with Slayer's Boxer. Slayer's Boxer was the original Korean StarCraft Brood War superstar. Slayer's Boxer made his name off of having lots of creative drops, basically hitting a lot of different points in the game at once, being able to micro and win in situations where if you hadn't microed, you would easily lose. I love OOV. His transition to this was really the macro power Terran player. And when it comes to macro openings, you really need to have the build order down. You need to know when can you cut defending units. When do you absolutely have to hard counter something, even if you can't see that it's coming? When can you take your third base? How soon or late do you want upgrades? This is a video of Hyuk talking about the practice regimen that I Love OOV had here. And I thought this was really interesting. And in my own experience as a competitive player, I found this technique works really well.
최현성 감독님 아시죠? 지금 감독님 하고 계시잖아. 근데 그분이 연습을 어떻게 하냐면 그때 가장 잘하던 시절이었어요. 그때 어느 정도로 잘했냐면 그냥 앉을 때 본좌 시절 거의. 알겠죠, 형님들? 그때였는데 내가 팀에 딱 처음 들어갔는데 연습을 어떻게 하냐면 내가 연습 상대였거든. 내가 연습생이었어요 그때. 연습을 도와주는데.
So a lot of these teams, just to be clear, they would have players that were dedicated to just practicing with the pros. These were guys that were probably never going to be out playing big matches on TV. There was a number of people that just were there. I don't want to say like a crash dummy for the pros, but basically like a sparring partner. The pros would direct them on what to do and how to play. And this is all in the area where everybody lived in a team house.
어떻게 하냐면 게임을 5분 만에 나가. 게임을 딱딱딱딱 빌드 만들다가 5분 만에 나가요. 딱딱딱딱 하다 5분 만에 나가. 그래갖고 내가 이거 뭐 하는 거지? 이래갖고 약간 좀 처음에 화나는 거야.
So basically he would play out the first 5 minutes of the game and then leave, even if there was no engagement or attacking.
처음에. 그래가지고 아니 게임을 하려면 끝까지 해야지. 이게 할만한 상황인데 왜 계속 나간다. 난 이 생각을 했다. 그리고 연습을 하면 예를 들어서 일주일 연습을 한다 치면 한 3일 정도는 내가 다 이기거든. 거의. 내가 거의 한 승률이 한 그 형 상대로 한 7, 80% 나온다 치잖아. 그러면 이제 이 형이 이제 빌드를 조립을 일주일 동안 하는 거야. 그래서 사이즈가 안 좋으면 그냥 나가. 그냥 자기 원하는 사이즈 안 나오면 나가는 거야.
So basically he's testing out everything at the start of the game, and if he feels like he's not in an ideal position, he just steps out of the game and leaves immediately.
나가고 갑자기 3일 딱 지나잖아. 그냥 경기 당일 한 이틀 전 되지? 그러면 내가 한 판도 못 이겨. 진짜로. 농담 아니고. 그래갖고 내가 와 이거 뭐지? 내가 이 생각 들었다. 그러니까 나도 그거를 보면서 저그는 그렇게 하면 좀 별로 안 좋긴 하는데.
One of the interesting things he says there is like, that doesn't seem to be as good of a way to play and learn as Zerg. And I think that may be because Zerg has to react so much early on, although I think it's still pretty applicable. Here's the thing. When I would teach people in StarCraft, I would tell them to just go up against a computer. And what you can do is just practice what you need to do for your opening until you have it down perfectly. So many times people are playing against a player and the opening they've done is so messed up and so bad, there's not even a point to really try to play it out. Even if you're like, let's say you're an F rank player, an E rank player, you can benefit a lot from just running the opening of the game until you have it down perfectly. You're going to win more games because of your early game being perfect than anything else. Shield Battery says, I wonder if that's what Mini meant when he said he was playing single player a lot. Yes, that's exactly what he means. Now, it ideally is always better if you do this versus an actual person because the computer doesn't really play the game like correctly. Like as an example, if I do this in a PvP against a computer, I will have to deal with a 2-gate Zealot Rush every time, which requires me to respond a very certain way. Now look at this. My pylon is late. What do? We restart. Restart the game because I made the first move I made was wrong. This is a way that you can practice, especially if you have access to replays or VODs, or like in this case, player streams, or the previous video we did where we had the player guides. You will get so much better doing this than just degenerate grinding on the ladder. You could even do this against people online. If you can pick a matchup you want to practice. If you don't get that player, you can leave. We've all had games where the opponent just leaves the game right away. Maybe that's why. A lot of people do practice this way to improve. And you want to try to get your build down perfectly. I mean, I Love OOV was doing this to win the most important tournaments in the world, but you can just do this to try to get your opening down. So what was a mistake I made last time? I set my probe too late. So I would have had about 125 or so minerals when my first pylon started. But now I know, right when I start that next probe, I send this one out so he gets there a little bit sooner. Now he's gonna get there right at that moment. And so now we continue on with the build. But the truth is, just having the first 5 minutes of the game down pat is going to help you so much. You can lose games where you're in the mid game and you're thinking, how do I stop that? Chances are you made a mistake early on. And sometimes players who look at these end game fights and think, man, what could I have done to prevent this? It's probably a mistake you made in the early game. So this is another great way to improve at the game. And if you do this, even for an hour or two a day, along with your normal ladder practice routine, you will improve immensely. Please do like and subscribe. That helps this video get out to as many people who are like you as possible. If you want this kind of content, or more of this kind of content, let me know. I'm always fascinated by how the very best players learn, what practice techniques work and don't work, because it's a lot more than just game after game after game after game. It's much more about trying to train your brain to work a certain way and to respond in a certain way, so that when you get into these complicated situations, you at least know that you're in a spot where you can handle it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a future video.